Investors poured more than $3 trillion into Bitcoin ETFs last week, the asset's first full week of net inflows since March, according to Farside data. April has been volatile for Bitcoin ETFs, with 9 out of the 18 trading days so far being outflow days amid macroeconomic uncertainty. And so here to discuss the state of the market, we've got Chris Kline, BitcoinIRA co-founder and COO. Chris, good to have you back on with us. So what's driven this rush of investor activity in Bitcoin as you've been tracing?
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see you again, by the way. I'm sorry I'm not in studio with you today.
All good, all good. We appreciate it.
I think there's a lot of things that are happening. Obviously, this is a choppy market. I do feel like we're in a tale of two cities. You see it's kind of doom and gloom and bearish sentiment in the traditional markets. But Bitcoin and crypto in general have a very passionate base, which is showing a much more bullish sentiment at this time. So if you go from CNBC or Yahoo Finance and then over to Twitter, you see two different worlds happening. And this is driven by a few things. You've got the Federal Reserve making some announcements last week, opening more doors of regulation. You have the halving effect that's coming closer and closer. We've talked about that in August or September. And then you've got these institutional plays. You've got a lot of inflows. A lot of folks are trying to replicate or find that new edge on the MicroStrategy play that's happened over the last couple of years.
And so we've been trying to break down some of the charting for our viewers as well, some of the key technical levels and some other psychological levels as well. That 100K is, of course, one of the larger psychological levels to get back to. But it seems like 95K is perhaps one of the more significant interim technical levels that we've been tracking. I wonder, in your assessment for Bitcoin, what are some of your targets that you're tracking and what will drive those moves?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right that 100 is a big psychological barrier. You saw when we burst through it late last year, then it ran all the way to all-time highs at 108. I just was recalling when I flew home from seeing you last month, we were posting our worst quarter in a few years, and there was a lot of buying opportunities in those dips getting down sometimes into the 75, 76 range. And so that had some impacts on buyer sentiment as well. For me, I'm watching 3 to 6 months out. Where are we going to end the year is a good question. I'm getting that a lot. I have clients that are very ambitious and have extremely high numbers and goals. You get to like Tom Lee as called from Fundstrat has called for about 250,000 Bitcoin at the end of this year. I think that with the monetary supply, the global M2 supply correlation, it's not too crazy to see us somewhere between 150 to 180,000 as we close out this year in 2025 for the Bitcoin price.
What would be the core driver to get us there, though?
Obviously, monetary supply, a liquidity market where we're pumping more fiat currency into the marketplace always helps these types of assets, risk-bearing assets. Then secondarily, you have the impact of halving. It's usually within 450 to 500 days where you start to really see that the effect of what happened last April. And then you add in this institutional play. And for me, it's the delta, that tale of two cities between traditional markets and crypto markets. When folks are looking for, I wouldn't call it hedges, but more diversification in this environment, Bitcoin is starting to show a little bit more of that shine and luster than it has over the last few months.
And so with that in mind, for investors out there that are trying to figure out if they've already missed the key opportunity to buy into Bitcoin, is this still presenting opportunity? Are there more perhaps choppy signals on the other side of that ahead?
Well, volatility is part and parcel for Bitcoin overall. I've been about a decade into this. I had no gray hair when I started it, and that's the volatility coming out. But I think the key to the question is it too late or too early? And the answer is it's never too late or too early to get into the cryptocurrency space. One of my favorite memes I always see is the line of people that'll buy Bitcoin at 110,000 is a mile long, and the line for when it's at 76 is short, and you hear, oh, I'm glad I didn't buy it when it was down, and oh, I missed out when it was up. And one of the things that any advisor will tell you in any traditional or crypto asset is dollar cost average. It takes the emotion out of it. And when you're living in a volatile market space, whether it's in traditional equities or in cryptocurrency, dollar cost averaging really makes it very simple for you to have an investment strategy that you don't go all in or freak out as you start entering into this space.
Just lastly, while we have you here, Chris, beyond Bitcoin, Salana getting some attention. NASDAQ-listed firm DeFi Development looking to raise $1 billion to boost its Salana treasury. Is Salana a solid altcoin investment for other investors?
Well, actually, interesting note, they already raised about $500 million, so they're halfway there in the last week or so. And what's interesting is this is people taking the page of Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy. 21 Capital's doing it as well. Traditional institutions are always trying to find that edge, just like emerging markets. And this is an emerging market where they see this treasury fund that can be built, and you see funds flowing into it. Solana's a great layer 2 that has a lot of competition out there. There are some folks calling for it to possibly flip Ethereum. It also has a very passionate base. One of the things you'll find as you do your research in cryptocurrency is that each of these altcoins has a very passionate base around it, be it XRP, Ethereum, Solana, or others. I do know that Solana is a very popular coin as an alt in our platform. We're at about 14 billion in assets under custody now. And I would say take the Ethereum and the Bitcoin off the table, the other 40%. Solana is definitely a leader in the retirement savers as a potential. It also has a staking mechanism to it. So it's a cryptocurrency that you can make yield off of. And hopefully when I see you again next month, I'll be here to announce that our staking program has gone live as well. That's a beast that's going to come to life in a lot of institutions. That's going to really bring some excitement around the space.
All right, I hope to be talking about this. Just lastly, while we have you, you mentioned something key, which is the sentiment around Solana versus that of some of the other coins. Is this impacting Ethereum's ability to actually bring forward what was touted as the flippening and that not coming to fruition at this juncture?
Yeah, if you went back a couple years, there was the great flippening conversation, and even Ripple has had, or XRP, sorry, has had a conversation about flipping and moving. It's always about getting those top 5 spots. I think what you're seeing is that passionate base around it. I don't necessarily call it a zero-sum game in this space. There are particular use cases for each of them. They have their strengths, they have their weaknesses. It's about speed, uptime, and network driving, and you're gonna see where developers go. Where do they build the next thing on which chain? But it's not a zero-sum game. There's room in this space for everybody.
Chris, great to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.